Alright, welcome back. So this is the last one, 9-2, sine and cosine ratios. I just went over writing ratios for sine of m and cosine of m. So sine of m, here's m. Sine would be opposite over the hypotenuse. Cosine of m is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So remember, adjacent is the side that's next to the angle, and then opposite is the side that's opposite the angle. Easy way to remember this is SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, that's the SO. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, that's the CA. And then TOA is tangent is opposite over adjacent, that's the TOA. Our next one, sine of m, is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, so 4 root 2 over 9. And then cosine will be adjacent over the hypotenuse, so 7 over 9. And then last one we have sine of m is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, so 2 over 4 or 1/2. And then cosine of m is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, 2 root 3 over 4. Okay, so let's start putting sine into use here. Find the value of x. Round answers to the nearest tenth. Here's my angle. I have 35 degrees down here. I have I'm looking for the opposite, and I have the hypotenuse, so I'm going to use sine. So I have sine of 35 equals x over 20. And now I'm solving for x. So I'll multiply by 20. 20 sine 35 equals x. So round to the nearest tenth, so that'll be 11.5. Next one. I have my angle, it's 41. I'm looking for the side nearest, and I have the hypotenuse 11. So I'll use cosine. So cosine of 41 equals x over 11. Multiply by 11. So then x will equal 8.3. Next one, I have the angle. I have the near side. I'm looking for the hypotenuse, so I'll use the cosine. So this is cosine of 56 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So multiply by x, x cosine 56 equals 10, and then divide by cosine of 56. So 10 divided by cosine of 56 is 17.9. Number 7, I have the angle, I have the opposite side, I'm looking for hypotenuse, so I'll do sine of 36 equals 10 over x, multiply by x, divide by 36, sine 36, so x equals 10 over sine 36. I get 17.0. Next one, I've got my angle, 21. I'm looking for opposite, and I have a hypotenuse, so I'll do sine of 21 equals x over 12, sorry. Multiply by 12. Sine 12 times sine 21 equals x. So x equals 4.3. And then last one, I'm given two angles, and I'm given one side here and x, so I can actually choose between sine or cosine. So what you could have done with all of these, all you would need to do, I could have done cosine of, let's see, 69 over here instead of sine 21, and then just flip over, well actually no, I'm sorry, I apologize, because we don't have this side here. So let's look at the information we have here. I have the angle 62, I have the adjacent side, and I have the hypotenuse, so I could do cosine 62 equals 50 over x and solve for x, or I could do sine 28 equals 50 over x. So it doesn't matter which one I do it here. Because I like cosine for some reason, I'll use it. Cosine 62 equals 50 over x. That's the adjacent over hypotenuse. Multiply by x, and then divide by cosine 62. So then x will equal 50 divided by cosine 62. So x equals 106.5. Number 10 is a word problem. An escalator in the subway system of St. Petersburg, Russia has a vertical rise of 195 feet and 9.5 inches. It rises at an angle of 10.4 degrees. How long is the escalator? Round your answer to the nearest foot. Okay, so for this, I think I might need some scratch paper because space here is a little limited. Okay, so here's our escalator. They basically look like this. If you ever stared at one from the side. If you've ever seen one. So this is going to be a very large escalator. So our vertical rise is 10.4 degrees. And we want to find out x here. Round answer to the nearest foot. Okay, so first I'll need to convert this to feet. So 9.5 is 0.79 parts of a foot. Okay, so I just converted inches to feet there. So I have the opposite of the angle, and I'm looking for the hypotenuse, so I'll do sine 10.4 equals 195.79 over x. I'll multiply by x, and then I will divide by, I like to do this notation because I'm lazy, sine 10.4, so x equals 195.79 divided by sine of 10.4. So the escalator is 1084.6 feet, and it wants it to round it, so we're going to round it up. So that equals 1085 feet. Pretty big escalator. The answer for that one would be 1085 feet. Alright, so examples 3 through 16 we're going to use inverse sine. So number 11, here's my triangle, 5, 14, x. I've got opposite and hypotenuse, so I'll do the inverse sine of 5 over 14. And that should give me my angle. So punch that in. 20.9 degrees. Nearest degree will be 21 degrees. Okay, which makes this guy up here about 69 degrees. So again, to do the inverse, I press second and then press sine. So I did second sine. You can see the yellow text there. On your phone calculators, I'm not exactly sure how you get inverse. You'll just have to kind of play around with it. The notation should look like this. You should see sine and then a small -1 in the exponent's place. Next one, I've got my angle. I have the adjacent, and I've got the hypotenuse. Just so you know, you're not restricted to using cosine or sine for these right angles. If you have two sides, I can figure out the third by using the Pythagorean theorem. This would be, this is actually 64 minus 25 is 39, so this is the square root of 39. So I could actually use sine, inverse sine for this one. It would be inverse sine of root 39 over 8. Or I could just use inverse cosine of 5 over 8 to get this one. So do inverse cosine of 5 over 8 equals 51 degrees. And if I had gone the other route, inverse sine of root 39 over 8, same answer. Okay. Interestingly, if you could do inverse cosine of root 39 over 8, and you would get 90 minus 51, which would be 39 degrees. So you'd be able to find out what that angle is if you used inverse geometry for those. Okay, next one, we have x here, 9. My hypotenuse is 13. I have the adjacent side, so I'll do inverse cosine 9 over 13. I'll let you solve that one. Next one, 14. I have 3.0 and 5.8. X. Okay, so we're using inverse cosine again. It's just using decimals this time. 15. I've got the opposite side and the hypotenuse, so I'll use inverse sine. And then lastly is number 16. Here's my triangle. So I've got the hypotenuse and the adjacent side, so I'll be using inverse cosine. Alright guys, the rest is up to you. I have full faith in you. And never stop now. Alright, see you guys.